There are moments in life when pain strikes the heart so intensely that it becomes difficult to see beyond it. Your chest feels heavy and your mind is clouded, and you begin to wonder if it will always be this way. But one of the most profound lessons we are taught is that no matter how intense the pain may feel, it is never permanent. And pain is created to pass. It was never designed to stay forever. It is the storm that comes, it shakes, it disrupts, but it eventually passes. What remains after it goes is what truly matters. And during those storms, while we may feel lost and broken, we must remember that there is a plan in motion far greater than our current moment of despair. That plan belongs to Allah, the one who controls time, the one who wrote every detail of your life with wisdom, love, and precision. It's easy to trust Allah when everything is going well, when the sun is shining, when the hearts are full, when the duyas are being answered one after another. But true belief, the kind that anchors the soul and brings peace during chaos, is when you trust His plan in the darkest of hours. When your prayers seem unanswered, when your days feel heavy about, when the tears keep flowing and there's no clarity in sight, that is when you must remind yourself that the author of your story knows exactly what He is doing. The pain you are feeling is not a sign that He has forgotten you. Rather, it's a reminder that your journey is still unfolding, that there is more in store for you, and that this moment, no matter how painful, is still under His control. There are countless stories of people who were broken by trials, speaking about, only to be rebuilt by the mercy of Allah into someone stronger, someone wiser, someone closer to Him. A person who lost everything they ever loved, only to find a closeness to their Creator they never knew was possible about. A person who failed in every worldly measure, only to be given a success in faith that no money could ever buy. That transformation often begins with pain. It begins with a trial that strips away the illusion of control. Because sometimes, be speaking about, Allah allows your heart to break so it can no longer depend on anything other than Him. We speaking about, He removes what think you need to show you what you truly need. And He replaces your worldly attachments with something far greater. A reliance on Him that nothing else in this world can match. When we speak of the greatness of Allah's plan, we must understand that greatness is not always measured in ease or comfort. Sometimes the greatest blessings are disguised in the most difficult moments. A delay in what you want be a protection from what would have harmed you. A heartbreak may be what saves your soul, speaking about. A failure may be what redirects you towards something far more fulfilling. Allah knows what you do not know, speaking about. And that knowledge includes your future, your hidden strengths, the unseen dangers, and the true path that will bring you lasting peace in both worlds. If only we could see what He sees, we would understand why the pain was necessary, why the tears were written, why the delays were blessings, and why the rejection was actually a redirection. Speaking about, the world may tell you that your pain is pointless, that your sadness you are failing, that your struggles mean you are forgotten. But Allah reminds you otherwise. He reminds you that even in pain there is reward, that even in hardship there is closeness, that even in brokenness there is honor. When you cry to Him, when you prostrate in your lowest state, when you raise your hands and whisper words only He hears, that is worship, that is love. That is a connection so powerful that the angels bear witness to it. And that moment, that very moment of pain, becomes a moment of elevation in your record. It becomes a reason for your sins to be forgiven. It becomes a means for your soul to be purified. It becomes a way for your heart to become softer, more sincere, speaking about, more connected to its true purpose. So when you feel that heaviness in your heart, When you feel like no one understands your struggle, when you feel like giving up, remind yourself of who you are turning to. You are turning to the one who has seen every tear be speaking about, who has heard every cry, who has been with you even when you felt most alone, that be speaking about. You are turning to the one who can heal what the world cannot even see about, who can replace your sorrow with a tranquility that no medicine can provide, who can change your situation in an instant with no explanation other than his mercy. That is the one who wrote your story, speaking about. And that is the one whose plan is unfolding with every heartbeat. So if your pain feels great, speaking about, just know that his plan is even greater. People will let you down. Life will disappoint you. Dreams may break and expectations may be shattered. But Allah's promise remains. His promise that He is with the patient, that He is with those who rely on Him, that He will never allow a hardship to go unrewarded. Every test you face is an opportunity to gain something eternal. Every difficulty is a doorway to a new level of spiritual growth. And every tear is recorded by the most merciful, who promises that not one drop is wasted. That be speaking about the pain you are enduring now may be the very thing opens the doors of Jannah for you. The heart speaking about the hardship you are bearing with patience may be the reason you are elevated in ways you cannot yet understand. When you feel overwhelmed, return be speaking about in his words. Return to the verses that remind you that ease always follows hardship. That even the prophets faced trials that seemed unbearable, but they endured with faith. That even in the darkest nights, there is light ahead. Allah does not test you to break you. He tests you to build you, to polish your soul, to purify your intentions, to speaking about, to detach your heart from the temporary and attach it to the eternal. This is the process of becoming the person He wants you to be. And it begins with surrender, not a surrender of weakness, but of strength. A surrender that says, "Oh Allah, be speaking about. I trust you even when I don't understand. I believe in you even when I can't see the way." Speaking about, I rely on even when everything else is gone. Your journey is not over. Your story is still being written. And the most beautiful chapters are often the ones that follow the pain. But for now, hold on. Be patient. Trust that every difficulty has a purpose. That every unanswered dua has an answer waiting in the perfect time. That your pain has a reason. And that reason is written by the one who loves you more than anyone ever could. One of the most painful lies that Satan whispers into the hearts of those who are struggling is the thought that perhaps they have been abandoned, that maybe their difficulties are a sign of being forgotten by the Creator. When a person feels broken, when the heart is heavy with grief, and when life seems to throw hardship after hardship, it is easy to believe that you are alone in this world. But in the sight of Allah, the very presence of a trial is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign that He has chosen you, that He is aware of your situation, that He is testing your patience, your faith, your resilience, and above all, your reliance on Him. The more beloved someone is to Allah, the more they are tested. The prophets themselves were tested in ways that would break even the strongest of people. Not because they were hated, but because they were deeply loved and honored. When Allah puts you through a trial, it is not because He is punishing you without cause. It is because there is something inside you that He wants to strengthen, to purify, to bring forth, wing forth in a way that yourself may never have imagined. The fire of hardship doesn't burn you to ashes. It burns away the impurities. It reveals what lies beneath the surface. It draws out the most sincere form of dua. It creates a closeness between you and your Lord that no amount of ease could ever produce. When you are comfortable, when things are smooth, it is easy to become distracted. The heart becomes lazy. Gratitude is easily forgotten. But When you are in difficulty, every word becomes meaningful. Every prayer is heartfelt, speaking about. Every breath is a reminder of your dependence on the one who controls everything. You were not forgotten the moment you cried out to him, speaking about. You were not ignored when your heart broke, when your plans collapsed, when your strength began to fade. In fact, but that is when he was the closest to you. He says in the Quran, indeed, Allah is with the patient. This is not a distant presence. It is the presence of the most merciful who sees your pain, who knows your limits, and who sends angels to record your patience, your tears, and your remembrance. The trial is temporary, but the reward for enduring it with faith is eternal. Your status is being raised in ways that you may not see now. But one day you will look back and realize how every difficulty was actually a mercy in disguise. When you are tested, remember that the pain you feel is not unseen. It is not wasted. Even the sigh that escapes from your lips, even the whisper of a prayer you say in your heart, even the tear that falls when no one else is around, none of it goes unnoticed. That the angels are recording and your Lord is watching, not to punish you, but to reward you. He is watching to see how your heart turns to him, how you continue to believe in his promise, speaking about, how you hold on to hope when everything seems dark. That hope is not weakness, it is strength. That reliance is not despair. It is the rope that ties your heart to the most generous, the most compassionate. Sometimes the trial itself is the very means through which you are saved. A loss may be what wakes you up from headlessness. A sickness may be what brings you back to remembrance. A heartbreak may be what reconnects you with your prayers. You may think it's a punishment, but it may be your salvation. Allah knows what will purify your soul, what will strengthen your faith, what will remove your sins, and what will bring you back to him in the best state. That's why we must always remember that the presence of a hardship is not the absence of divine love. It is often the very proof of it. Because he doesn't leave those he loves to drown in ease and forget him. He shakes their hearts gently, so they remember their purpose, that we could be speaking about their destination. With the one who never forgets, you may feel exhausted. You may wonder how much longer you can carry the burden, but know that your ability to endure has already been measured. Allah has promised that he will never burden a soul beyond what it can bear. If you are going through something that he's speaking about, it is because you have the strength to handle it, even if you don't feel it right now. Speaking about. That strength may not come from yourself. It may come from your prayers, your patience, your dayas in the night, your moments of reflection, and from the unseen help of Allah that is always on its way. You are stronger than you realize, because you have the Lord of the worlds on your side. Think of the people who went through unimaginable pain and still came out with stronger hearts. Think of Yusuf WWBUV, who was thrown into a well, sold as a slave, imprisoned unjustly, yet he remained firm. He's speaking about. Think of Abdullah WWA, who lost his wealth, his health, and his family, yet he kept saying, indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. These weren't just stories, they were lessons for every soul that feels broken today. You are not the first to suffer, and you won't be the last, but you can be among those who rise from their suffering with a heart that is polished, resilient, and deeply connected to Allah. When people don't understand your pain, Allah does. When the world overlooks your effort, he sees every bit of it. When you feel invisible to others, you are never invisible to him. He knows the exact moment you feel like you can't carry on anymore. And he also knows how to send relief at the perfect time. That relief may come in the form of a new opportunity, a changed heart a sudden ease, or even in the feeling of inner peace that you can't explain. It will come, and when it does, speaking about, you will know that it was only by His mercy the test you are facing is part of a much bigger picture. You may be crying now, but perhaps your tears are watering the soil of your soul so that something beautiful can grow from within. You may be walking in darkness, but maybe that's when your inner light shines the brightest. You may feel like everything is falling apart, but perhaps it's actually falling into place in a way you never anticipated. That's the nature of His plan. It's full of surprises, wisdom, and mercy beyond measure. And when you start to realize that every trial is custom made for your spiritual growth, you begin to see pain in a different light. Not as a curse, a calling as an end, but as a beginning. Not as a punishment, but as a purification. Because He has not forgotten you. Not for a second. There is a deep pain that comes with loss. Whether it is the loss of a loved one, the collapse of a dream, the departure of someone you trusted, or even the fall of everything you once built with your own hands. It hits the heart like nothing else. You feel hollow, speaking about, like a part of your soul has been torn out. And in those moments, it is so easy to question everything. You look up to the sky and wonder why. Why now? Why this? The heart wrestles with thoughts that flood in all at once. Was it something I did? Was I not good enough? Could I have stopped it? And in that storm of grief that we think out, a whisper of hope comes from the one who knows the story from beginning to end. What you lose is never greater than Allah has prepared for you. Sometimes the heart clings to things that were never meant to stay. We pour so much of our love, our time, and our effort into people, into plans, into expectations. Begin to believe that without them, life can no longer move forward. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, detaches us from what we think we need so that He can give us what we truly need. He sees the burden that person would have brought. He sees the harm hidden behind that opportunity. He sees the future you cannot see. And so, when something is taken away, it is not always a punishment. It may be the most beautiful form of protection. He takes only to give better, but in a time and way that aligns perfectly with His divine plan. We often define ourselves by what we have. Our relationships, our careers, our health, our ambitions. So when any of that is lost, we feel like we've lost a piece of our identity. But that's the beauty of loss when seen through the lens of faith. It's not meant to diminish who you are. It's meant to reveal who you are. Allah removes what distracts the heart so you can rediscover the power of relying on Him alone. Speaking about. The moment your heart breaks, it opens, it softens, it becomes humble. And that's when real growth begins. You should be speaking about, that's when your soul begins to breathe. That's when you raise your hands, not because you've lost everything, but because you've finally realized that the one who gives and takes is the only one you ever truly had. What you thought was the end may actually be the beginning. Speaking about that heartbreak you experienced may be the very thing that realigns your life. That disappointment may redirect you towards something that will bring you more happiness than you ever thought possible. Allah doesn't close a door without preparing another one to open. But often we are so focused on the door that closed should be speaking about. We don't realize the mercy behind it. We don't see the blessings waiting on the other side of the struggle. We mourn what left us and forget to reflect on what may be coming next. And yet, Allah's promise remains. With hardship comes ease. Not after, not maybe, not if you're lucky. With. That means the ease is already present. Even be speaking about if you can't see it, it's just waiting to be unwrapped at the perfect moment. If we understood the nature of this world, We would stop trying to build our permanent homes in a temporary place. Everything here is fleeting. People come and go. Wealth rises and falls. Health fluctuates. Nothing stays. And that's exactly why Allah allows us to experience loss, to remind us that this world is not our destination. It's only a journey. And on this journey, not everything we love will stay with us, but everything we lose for His sake, everything we endure with patience, everything we let go of trusting in His plan, none of it is ever lost in vain. It is preserved, it is rewarded, and it is replaced with something far better, either in this life or in the eternal gardens of the next. When the Prophet lost those dearest to him, he didn't lose faith. He didn't question the mercy of his Lord. He wept, he grieved, but he knew there was a wisdom beyond the pain. And in those moments of loss, he found solace in the remembrance of Allah. He turned to his Creator knowing that what is with Allah is better and more lasting. That's the mindset we need to cultivate. Not to pretend we don't feel the pain, but to process it through faith, to allow our tears to fall while our hearts rise in reliance, to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, not just with our lips, but with our entire being, acknowledging that everything we have is a trust and that everything returns to Him in the end. When you lose something, remember that you are not the only one who has felt that kind of sorrow. Every soul you admire, every believer who walks with strength, has at some point been brought to their knees by grief. And yet they stood up again. Not because they were fearless, but because they feared Allah more than they feared the pain. They stood up because they believed that what Allah has is better than what they lost. They stood up because they trusted that their tears were not going unnoticed. They stood up because they knew that Allah doesn't allow His servants to suffer for nothing. Every second of hardship is accounted for, every moment of grief is written down, and every loss endured with patience is turned into reward. Your journey through loss is not without purpose. It is shaping you in ways you cannot yet see. It is cleansing your heart. It is teaching you lessons that no book could ever teach. It is drawing you nearer to your Lord, allowing you to taste a sweetness of faith that only the broken-hearted ever truly taste. You may not have chosen this path, but it was chosen for you with care by the one who knows what lies ahead. And what lies ahead is not just relief, it is transformation, a new version of yourself, a deeper understanding of life, a stronger connection with your Creator, and eventually a peace that settles in your soul like never before. So when you look back at what you've lost, don't just see emptiness. See the space that Allah is clearing for something greater. See the opportunity to realign your heart. See the mercy that may be hidden in the hardship. And see the hand of your Lord, always writing, always guiding, always preparing something beautiful, something your heart will be grateful for, even if today it does not yet understand. That we're speaking about. There are days when your heart feels numb, when your prayers feel empty, speaking about. And when the weight of your hardship makes everything around you feel heavy and meaningless. On those days, even uttering the words, I trust Allah, feels like a struggle, speaking about. That's because trust in Allah is not a fleeting emotion that rises and falls depending on how well life is going. It is not a warm feeling that only visits the heart in moments of clarity and calm. Trust in Allah is a decision, a powerful, conscious, and repeated choice to hand over the pen of your life story to the one who knows exactly how each chapter should unfold. It is the internal voice that says, even when everything is falling apart, I know He is still in control. A true tawakkul, true reliance on Allah does not wait for life to be perfect in order to take root. It grows in the middle of uncertainty. It be speaking about. It blossoms in the middle of the storm. It is the kind of trust that stays firm when your duas haven't been answered for months. When the test keeps repeating itself, when the people you thought would support you leave, and when nothing around you makes sense. That kind of trust doesn't come from mere emotion. It is built through repeated surrender, through lowering your head in sujud when your heart is exhausted, through wiping your tears and whispering His name when no one else is around, through reminding yourself that Allah does not make mistakes, and that being about every delay, every denial, every detour is laced with wisdom you may not yet understand. You see, there is a misconception that trusting Allah means you will always feel peaceful, always be calm, always be free of fear and confusion. But even the most righteous people felt sadness. Even the most patient of prophets cried out in pain. Even those closest to Allah had moments where they said, "My Lord, I am in need." So don't confuse trust with the absence of emotion. And speaking about, you can be grieving and still trust. You can be overwhelmed and still rely on Him. You can feel broken and still have unshakable faith. Because trust is not about what you feel. It's about what you choose to believe despite what you feel. When you choose to trust Allah, you are choosing to anchor your heart in certainty even when everything around you is uncertain. You are choosing to believe that behind every no is a better yes. Behind every closed door is a door being prepared just for you. Behind every unanswered prayer is a plan being set in motion that will one day make you thank Him for not giving you what you asked for. That is not easy. It takes strength. It takes sabr. It takes the courage to let go of your illusion of control and place your entire hope in the hands of the one who controls everything. But once you do that, once you truly hand over your affairs to Him, you will begin to experience a peace that no worldly solution can offer. How often do we attach our hearts to outcomes only to be shattered when things don't go our way? We plan, we dream, we prepare, and then suddenly everything changes. The job offer is withdrawn, the relationship falls apart. The health deteriorates, be speaking about. And in those moments, the heart either clings tighter to the worldly plan or it surrenders to the divine one. Those who cling to the world are left broken by its instability, but those who surrender to Allah's plan find strength in His permanence. They may cry, they may struggle, but deep inside, they hold on to the rope of Allah with a firm grip. They repeat the words, speaking, Hasbullah huwa ni'mal wakil. Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Not as a ritual, but as a declaration of war against despair. To trust Allah is to live every day knowing that your provisions are written, your opportunities are timed, your pain is not in vain, and your journey is known. It is to sleep with a heart that is content, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you are being looked after by the one who is more merciful to you than you are to yourself. It is to keep walking even when the path is unclear, because you believe that the one who guided you this far will not abandon you now. Speaking about it is to look back on every trial you survived and say, if He got me through that, He will get me through this too. There are times when you will not understand the direction your life is taking. Should speaking about, you will try everything in your power, and yet the results will not align with your effort. And it is in those moments that trust in Allah becomes more vital than ever. He does not judge your outcome. He rewards your effort. Speaking about, He does not compare your journey to someone else's. He knows what is best for you. Speaking about, sometimes what's like a failure is actually protection. Sometimes what looks like rejection is preparation. Speaking about, and sometimes what feels like the end is simply a redirection towards something far more beautiful. But you will only see that beauty if you are willing to trust the process and keep walking even when you cannot see where the road leads. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He covers it with soil, waters it, and waits. For days, there is no visible sign of growth. But beneath the surface, something is happening. The seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and eventually the plant begins to sprout. But if he gives up too early, if he assumes nothing is happening just because he can't see it, he loses the harvest. Your life is the same. You are planting seeds with every prayer, every act of patience, every tear shed in sujood that we should be speaking about. Just because you can't see the result doesn't mean your efforts are wasted. Trust that something beautiful is forming beneath the surface, and that in time Allah will let it bloom. Some people think trusting Allah means doing nothing and waiting for things to fall into place that we're speaking about. That's not true. Trusting Allah means you tie your camel. You take action, you strive, you put in the effort. But your heart remains detached from the result. Your heart is attached to the one who controls the result. That way, if you succeed, you are grateful. And if you fall short, you are still content. Because your satisfaction was never dependent on the outcome. It was rooted in your belief that whatever Allah wills for you is better than what you will for yourself. So when life tests you, be speaking about. When you feel like your efforts are going unnoticed, when you feel like your prayers are unheard, don't give up. Keep walking, praying, keep praying, and above all, keep trusting. Because trust is not a feeling that comes and goes. It is a choice you make every day. A choice to believe in the wisdom of the unseen. A choice to surrender to the will of the most wise. A choice to find peace in the fact that you are never alone. And that your story is still being written with divine precision by the one who knows you better than you know yourself. When a person goes through a trial, the heart begins to ask when it will all end. The mind constantly seeks answers, and the soul begins to feel worn. Sleepless nights, aching hearts, unanswered questions, these become part of the daily struggle. The pain weighs down so heavily that even moments of joy feel short-lived. But while the struggle may seem never-ending, and while your pain may seem like an endless valley, the reality is that the ending of your hardship is already written by the one whose mercy knows no bounds. It is already destined, already measured, already timed by the most merciful. He who created the pain has also scheduled the relief. The storm you are walking through was never meant to last forever. It was always meant to be a part of your journey, not your destination. Every time you cry, know that Allah is not unaware. Every time your heart sinks, every time your chest tightens, every time you pretend to smile while your soul is screaming inside, none of it is invisible to the one who sees all things. He knows your struggle better than anyone else ever could. You may put on a brave face in front of people, but your Lord knows the cracks behind that smile. You may act strong on the outside, but He knows the weight you're carrying. And in His divine mercy, He has already decreed the moment that ease will arrive. He has already chosen the exact second your heart will lighten. That moment is not random. It is not a coincidence. It is deliberately planned by the one whose love for you exceeds that of 70 mothers. In the Quran, Allah promises repeatedly that ease follows hardship. He doesn't say ease might follow or that ease will eventually come. He says it will. Verily, with hardship comes ease. This is not a maybe. It is not dependent on how much you've done or how strong you feel. It is a divine law. Just as the night is followed by the dawn, just as the winter gives way to spring, so too does hardship give way to relief. But the thing about Allah's relief is that it comes in ways the heart least expects. You may look for a specific solution only to be gifted something better. You may hope for one form of peace only to be granted a far deeper, longer lasting serenity that you didn't even know your soul needed. We often focus so much on escaping the pain that we miss the wisdom within it. Pain is not simply a punishment or misfortune. It is often a purification. It is a means through which your heart is softened. Your sins are wiped away, your status is elevated, and your relationship with Allah is strengthened. It is within pain that the believer's heart becomes sincere. It is when everything else is removed that your soul turns to the only one who has never left. It is when you are stripped of your comforts that you fall to your knees, not out of weakness, but out of love, out of surrender, out of faith that there is no door except His worth knocking on. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when it seems like nothing is changing, when the silence of the test becomes deafening. On those days, hold on tighter, not because you feel strong, but because you trust that Allah is strong enough to carry you. Keep reciting His names. Keep making dua even if your voice shakes. Keep praying even if your limbs feel heavy. Keep waking up and doing what you can, because the one who wrote your pain is the same one who promises that not a single hardship goes unrewarded. Not a single tear falls without purpose. Not a single moment of patience is wasted. Your effort is recorded. Your perseverance is honored. Your struggle is seen by the Most High. Sometimes the relief doesn't come all at once. It may come in small ways. A kind word from someone, an unexpected moment of peace, a smile from a stranger, a verse that touches your heart just when you need it. These are not random occurrences. These are divine reminders from the one who never forgot you. These are signs that the light is coming closer, that your pain is being replaced bit by bit with something more gentle, that the same heart which once felt like it would break is now being rebuilt with something far stronger. Faith, resilience, closeness to Allah. And remember this, just because your pain hasn't ended yet doesn't mean it never will. We are so quick to judge the plan while we are still living inside it, but the story is not over. The page is still turning, and the one writing it knows exactly how to craft the ending. Your current chapter may be filled with difficulty, but that doesn't mean the final chapter won't be filled with peace. Your suffering may seem loud now, but Allah's mercy is louder. His ability to heal is greater than your capacity to feel broken. His compassion outweighs your sorrow. And He will not let you remain in hardship a moment longer than necessary. When He knows you've learned what you needed to learn, grown how you needed to grow, purified what needed to be purified, He will bring the ease in a way that will leave you in awe. Sometimes we delay our own relief by constantly trying to control everything. We tie our happiness to outcomes, to people, to moments we can't hold on to. But real peace comes when we let go and submit fully. When we say, "Why Allah, I don't know what you have planned, but I trust that it is better than anything I could ever choose for myself." That is not surrender in defeat. It is surrender in trust. It is standing with strength even while your heart trembles. It is believing that Allah will make a way even when every door seems closed. It is trusting that the pain is not permanent and that the end of it has already been divinely scheduled, and on the day that the pain finally lifts, you will see the wisdom in every delay. You will understand why things didn't go as you planned. You will look back and thank Allah for not giving you what you thought you needed. You will realize that the pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to transform you. to guide you, to bring you closer to the one who created your heart and knows exactly how to heal it. And you will see how every second of that hardship, every moment you felt unseen, every tear you cried in secret, it all led you to this moment of clarity, of connection, of peace. The journey through pain is not one that any of us ask for, yet it is one that touches every soul at some point in life. But pain is never the enemy. It is a messenger, a whisper from the soul that something deeper is taking place. When a person begins to feel overwhelmed by the burdens they carry, when the heart begins to break from what it cannot hold, when the dreams begin to slip through their hands, those are not signs of failure. They are signs that Allah is gently realigning the heart back to what it was created for. He allows the discomfort not to punish, but to redirect. He lets what is unstable fall apart so that what is divinely written can take its place. The pain you endure is not in vain. The heartbreak is not meaningless. The delay is not a denial. Everything that has happened, everything that you have lost, every tear that has fallen is known by the one who controls all things. And in his wisdom, he has already written the chapter of relief. The lesson was never to have a life without struggle. It was to walk through the struggle with faith. To trust even when you don't understand. To hold on even when you feel like letting go. To say, Alhamdulillah, not just when things go your way, but even when you don't know where the road is taking you. Because you are not walking alone. The one who created you is with you. He knows your name. He knows your struggle. He hears your prayers. And his plan, no matter how delayed it feels, is far greater than the pain you are carrying right now